Howdy, fellow skeptics. Let's show the Skeptic Tank here. Just going to do a bit of more of a explanation about what I covered in an interview I did with Netter's Network and Joy Pacelli. I was trying to explain one of Jeet Kune Do's principles, which are many to it. And I brought up other topics that I'll likely expand upon in other videos. I don't know if I'm going to keep it up. If it's all right with you guys, just say so in the comment. You want more of that? I'll see if I can provide that. Like I said, I'll do my darndest. If not, all right. But I'll do what I can. So, first off, in JKD, there are many principles, like I just said. I think what I was starting out with is strong side forward. And I tried to demonstrate certain things. Something happened during the stream, which is fine. You know, technology is what it is. As I often joke, my thin line between love and hate for me and tech, it's ever thinning, just like the hair. And without further ado, strong side forward. What does that mean? Well, to start, and this is something that I explained in my journey within Jeet Kune Do with Choi and Netter, is JKD a nebulous concept. If you work with what I've been given, no, although concepts are part of it, but it's not anything nebulous. It's concrete. There's a way to stand, there's a way to throw your stuff. All right. Don't know if it's going to be the first principle you would learn, but if you're doing the ABCs with anything, you would start with the base, or the stance. So, hand positioning, well, you're going to, in a lot of arts, you have a leading side and a rear side. A lead side, a rear side. So, what hand takes the lead, what hand takes the rear? So in JKD, we talk about strong side forward. Well, what does that mean? Well, concretely, Jeet Kune Do is comprised mainly of boxing and fencing. Chief influences are mainly three, but the way the slices are divvied in the greater JKD pie, it'll be debated depending on what spectrum or continuum within the JKD milieu you subject yourself to or dedicate yourself to. Some are dedicated to the more Wing Chun side, but based on what I've been handed down, it's less. The Wing Chun, you can see where the influence is, and then you can easily see, at least in this particular lineage from which I draw my material, or what I draw from my memory nowadays, you can see easily where the Wing Chun influence ends. You can kind of see where it's no longer looking like a Wing Chun track. Okay, so going back to strong side forward. Just checking my time because I got work. So, what side takes the lead? What side takes the rear? Strong side. I had a little bit of a bout for a little bit when I started out. Like, well, I'm left-handed, but I do other things right-handed. But I think the easiest answer is the one where you're most able, your most coordinated side. Because a lot of what you're going to do in the JKD paradigm, the strategic ideal is explained by my friend Misty Sierra. You know, that'll be up to him if he wants me to drop his name. Sure. But within the Ted Wong line of thought, if you're using strategic ideal, which is long range, you would put your strongest, most coordinated side forward. Me being left-handed predominantly, I put my left side up. And yeah, it'll cause a trip for a lot of JKD instructors, how to orient the pads and all that, whatever. But that's going to be what you would start with. So I would generally, and I don't know if the camera will reflect it easily, but I would normally stand in my left hand moving and forward or be in the front position, and then my left leg would be in the front position, because at least in the strategic ideal of the art, 80% of the time you'd be hitting, you hit with your lead side. That's where it predicates. Now, as you train that, and this is something that I forgot to touch up further, and that's my fault for rambling, going from one direction to another. So, with that, you train that for a period of time, and depending on where you are or where you were when you met Ted Wong, because he, like Bruce, developed in his own pace. Especially after Bruce died, Ted was working what was given. So he would start with what he was given. And depending on how open he was to a student, without getting into particulars about politics and interpersonal dealings, but the common thing was told about how Ted would bring people up. He would only show them the straight lead punch or lead straight punch, however you want to term it. Basically, it's a punch coming from the lead side, and it's straight in its trajectory. Okay, and you would be working on that for months on end. And I explained via that interview I did last night. You would do that. There are 5 punches and 3 kicks in the JKD as handed down to me through that Ted Wong line of thought. There are 5 punches and 3 kicks. A lot of the punches, not very curvy. It's very linear, very straight. So even from the hook, it's very tight. No jerking around and wide loops or anything like that. I think you'd see that in some of the UFC shadow boxing. Especially when they do the prelude to the fights. You see the people in their rooms, they're like shadow boxing. But you see a lot of boxers doing this stuff. They don't do a lot of wide looping, at least not in the shadow boxing routines. But when things hit the fan, you always resort to whatever training you resort to the blah blah blah, to your level of training. I think that's the phrase. So going back to the lead side forward, the lead straight punch, a lot of the people had said that was the thing that they worked on for months on end. And so you work on that. I think there was even a comment like if you understood the straight lead or lead straight, you pretty much understood 80% of the art. How much of that is true? I think there's some truth to that, but I don't know how much of it is really true. But because it depends on what you think you're going to get when you do that lengthy time of working on one punch and maybe the hook kick. Because there's going to be footwork applied, at least, again, going back to Ted Wong line of thought. The caricature about his line of thought is that he's very mobility based. Okay. They're looking at it, I think they're looking at it from a stylistic standpoint. But no. There have been different body types in the Ted Wong lineage where, guys who are pretty burly, I'm a little small nowadays, where I guess I would rely on mobility. But anyway, where I'm at now, I would use my mobility, but for a different end in mind, which would be control, given what I explained as I fast forwarded my development in martial arts and kind of spoke to what I've been doing with tactical response and those like it and the lessons learned there. But going back to the strong side forward, and I'm going to have to fast forward that explanation given it's almost time for work. You'd spend that much time and you do all the little things in between. At some point in one's JKD development, you will learn the rear side of tools, like where did they come into play. So this is where the strategies and the lines of attack and so forth, it expands. So you learn more of these principles as you work on, you learn to apply this single stroke, this single tool. You learn the various ways that even though you have just one maneuver, you find the number of ways that it can be applied. So you're not limited in that. So I'll say more on this later. Work is creeping in. So thank you for your time, fellow skeptics. And as always, drop a comment just to give me an idea of how to tailor my content. What are you interested in? And like I said, I'll see if I can swing it. Can't always guarantee it, but I'll do my darndest. All right. Thank you again, fellow skeptics. Peace out. And until the next time, catch you all on the other side.